and it's season 2. We're back.
We are. We say we're back every week, but we're actually back this week. We're back from being back.
Officially back. How long has the break been? About 4 to 5 weeks?
More, I think. It's been like pre-Christmas was our last one.
Yeah, so actually it's funny because after Christmas you usually put on weight, but you and I have been working really hard.
Trying to, but I just weighed myself in this morning and I gained weight, so I'm not doing too well.
Nah, you gotta gain weight to lose weight. So like one thing people always don't realize is when you're actually working out, you put on muscle, and that's like not the actual weight.
I'm going to take that on board and hope that that's the case.
Honestly, it's been a long time, but we were back. I know this set looks a bit different. We're still going to add a lot more to it in the future.
It is, but I like it. It's good. We got some icons up here with us now, which is
we did say,
a bit more
actually,
fun.
I feel awkward because the pundit's right behind your head now.
That's how my hair used to look pre-shaving it. So, for context, it's not actually a photo of me from 2019. It's actually grown pundit.
The wall features little things that either we appreciate or makes us love the game of football. We do have the OG and the only Ronaldo that exists. We do have this man here. He is in the wrong shirt, but I do believe his whole life became what it is. You know, he's married to a woman from Scotland.
Yeah. I know. Early parts of his career. By the way, like, quick plug to those sneakers.
Good
insane.
swoosh there. We've got Baggio, a bit of a lord and saviour.
Yes. DB7's is iconic. He's got these hectic tinted glasses, and I think it's cornrows actually. I don't think it's the mohawk. We were looking for mohawk pictures, but I think it actually ended up being cornrows of some sort. He's got a nice little. Look
at that. Looks like the Matrix. Early 2000s, isn't it?
That's out there.
Looking at the mirror, we do have. You can say who it is.
D10, Maradona.
The best, the one and only. We do have a nice little book here by Neil Hurd, who, if you don't know, definitely one of the pioneers of the kit scene. And then last but not least, and behind you, who's that? Who is that beautiful human?
Oh, Mr. Harry Kuehl with David James, but it's not actually David James. It's Craig Foster. It looks like David James. And we got Cassano as well.
Yeah, I forgot about
Cassano in his Modandis.
I'm covering his Maldinis. Nice. Look, we're back. Between 2 shirts, as you can see, we do have 2 shirts. Really exciting times. Paul almost killed me as we were setting this set today.
Almost.
Shout out to your mate that set this backdrop.
DP built. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate your help, man.
If you are listening to this on Spotify or YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our socials. As of today, we do have Instagram for BTS.
Yes, Between 2 Shirts, so find us on Instagram.
Officially just Between 2 Shirts, one word?
Yes, correct.
Find us on Instagram and hopefully maybe a Twitter, because Twitter's good too. We should definitely do a Twitter.
Yeah, we'll get
I can manage it.
Really
really exciting. We do have a little episode for you today. When I say little, it might be about half an hour. We didn't put a timer. Classic us. We should get a little one. Let us know in the comments below if you have any suggestions, what you'd like to add to this wall.
First suggestion, get a producer.
Yeah, we definitely need someone to help us with this. We enjoy doing this, but it's always a lot of work. Do you have any suggestions for us to add to the board, like stickers,
We do
anything?
have a space here, so I think this is...
Yeah, we're going to have a little table, a bit of a soundboard. I'm really excited. This is fun to have your own space, not the same thing that someone else is going to copy you on.
Yes, it's good.
So yeah,
we're original.
Let's see what we do, keeping it simple.
So obviously, first things first, we are back. A few things have been happening in the football space, in the football shirt space specifically. Actually, just today. So we were having a chat in the cafe earlier in Penenka, and we saw a dad and son go through some of the PFC stuff that's there, and we got chatting to them, and it was kind of nice to see. Like the son would have been maybe 10, 11 years old, something like that, and it was nice to see like the generational kind of, the dad passing on the values of the old stuff, saying that I used to have this, and maybe this isn't on us, maybe we can go find it from my grandma's place, and I think it was nice to see. I think from a football shirt sense, and I know straight after that they ran into ultra football and they were going to grab some kits and boots and some other stuff as well. It's nice seeing those values passed on from parent to child.
100%. I loved looking at it because they walked in, and for me, it was like this sort of moment that this kid's going to remember for a very long time. I just realized my iPad can do double feature. How cool is that? So yeah, the dad walked in, looked at the racks, and I was like, oh yeah, you can't wear that. And I'm like, Paul, you're giving away free AC Milan jerseys. No one wants them. And he got offended, but then he saw I was wearing Inter Milan, so he was a lot more offended then. I do love that. I don't think we ever had moments like that with our dads. I do remember going to like little shops with my father to Only Sports in the markets. Yeah. But it's crazy to see how other people have it, and maybe that's how inspires you and I to bring it down to our kids.
Yeah, definitely. I know. Oh, look, I definitely try and pass this on to my son, but it's probably going to be a bit of a, I don't know. Whether he's interested in it or not, he's going to have a lot of football shirts by the time he gets to probably 10 years old. So we've got a lot of collecting to do between now and then. But hey, you know what? If If he doesn't like football, so be it. But it is nice to still see that.
It's a little bond. Like no matter how far it goes
Yeah,
down
it's
the
cute.
line, I do like seeing that sort of passing down of a passion. I was actually thinking that the other day. I saw a dad and his whole family, his wife and everyone riding bikes. And I thought to myself, like, does the kid really like riding a bike, or is dad just liking everyone around? So do you think that we're like, in the kid scene, if we're parents of, to kids, do you think we're just liking these kids around with our football obsession? Or do you think
Maybe
they're going to grow up being like, I actually like football because dad made me like it, or mum?
Well, this is the thing, I guess, if you look back in retrospect, when we were kids, we probably do enjoy things that our parents did. I kind of laugh because, so my dad's very sporty. My mum was not, but my mum loved like thrift shopping, which, especially when we were kids. And I kind of find it ironic that, I operate a sports thrift store, essentially, when you think of it in hindsight. And that makes me laugh because it's like, I literally am a prodigy of both my parents combined. And I look back, I look at it now and I think, like, I'm so different to my mum, I'm so different to my dad. I kind of like, I have traits from both.
Little parts of them.
Yeah, but then you look at like from a career sense and I'm like, oh wow, I'm literally them perfectly put together.
Well, for my daughter, actually, if she watches this in the future, I have installed the Inter Milan love for her, so definitely move away from that. But talking about Milan, we do have this topic where I don't really like to get into rumours because it's a sort of like a piece for you to say that you're looking into leaked information. But I do love a nice little kit rumour because it gets you excited for next year.
It does.
There have been many rumours. There have been Man City ones. I've seen a few Man United ones. But the one that really caught my eye was the one you shared. What kit was it?
Yeah, so Manchester, AC Milan. I think, well, there's actually a couple of shirts they've kind of paid homage towards. So from 96 to like 98, AC Milan had this like diamond sort of jagged design.
Unique.
Yeah, through a couple of their shirts. Amazing design, and it looks like they've sort of done a play on that.
Yeah.
Previously in the past, it was kind of like a single diamond pattern through the middle of the shirt. I think sticking with the true Rossoneri sort of style, they've split it and made it into kind of two stripes. But if you haven't checked it out, go jump on my Twitter right now at PFC Vintage and check it out. It's really, really, really sick.
So there's
concept.
no stripes?
It is still kind of stripes. So if you think of it, it's like 3 red and 2 black, and the 2 black are like the diamond kind of pattern.
It's like they're getting inspired by Inter Milan to go for different angles these days. I wonder who attempted that first. No, look, I think that kit itself was a template for a lot of clubs in Australia in the early 2000s that had that look.
Yeah, that Lotto, I think it was Lotto, right? Because Lotto were probably one of the earlier like crazier designs from mid 90s, early 90s, all that sort of stuff.
In Australia too,
globally, right? Because I guess it's the same. At the end of the day, it's same manufacturer. And I love that. It's one thing I must admit I do love about modern kits when they pay homage, and I mentioned it a countless amount of times on the podcast. But I love when there is a connection to their history, and in that era or that year, especially in Milan, like that's a squad with George Weah, like a Ballon d'Or winning player. They've got Roberto Baggio in there as well. There's a few like ballers, and so I don't know. It's nice. It's nice to see that they're going back through the archives and saying that this is an iconic time in our history. Let's put a bit of a spin on it.
I think throwback kits are always great. A lot of the manufacturers, mainly Adidas and Nike, have pushed that sort of throwback scene. Yeah. We're going to see a lot more. Another throwback that's coming soon to Serie A is the one for Roma.
Yes.
Now, I know Roma have been they're a bit touch and go when it comes to their manufacturer. They were with Nike, they got really upset. They went over to New Balance to sort of rescue them from this Nike relationship. And now, after, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, they've jumped the ship over to Adidas. Because of this, it's caused them to go into lawsuit.
Yeah, well, I was reading into this morning. It's very complicated. So from what I understand is that New Balance have a deal in place with Roma where it's sort of like they can kind of veto any future deals that are the same level or same amount as what New Balance have agreed to. So it's a bit of a he said, she said kind of situation where Roma and Adidas have signed a deal together. New Balance have said, no, we veto this because we agree that the deal is the same as ours. We're willing to match it. And because we're willing to match it, you guys can't go ahead with this deal. You have to maintain with us. And then obviously Roma on the flip side are saying, no, it's different, it's more or whatever, it's more beneficial for us. So yeah, that TBA, because there's definitely going to be a lawsuit around it.
It's going to be, it's upsetting because it happened to Liverpool years ago when they moved over from New Balance to Nike, the whole ordeal with their lawsuit. But I think what's happening at Roma right now is just a bit of it's It's like almost what's that saying when the rubbish comes to the top or gets seen? What's that saying? I can't remember exactly right
I
now.
don't know, but it just reminds me of my bin, and I just don't like it.
So basically, when something comes out, it's like, oh my god, it's like the froth comes to the scenes. Like you see all the mess afterwards when it's like not hidden anymore. So basically, for me, I remember all the campaigns for New Balance last season, or this season actually still going. Every New Balance club followed a strict sort of release, the whole situation with the wall and everything, and then Roma did something different. And to me, that showed that Roma thought they were bigger than New Balance.
Yeah, well.
This was the start of their relationship, and I think it's a bad times for them. New Balance themselves haven't really had fun with their sort of relationships with players. In the past, I'm not sure if you heard with Aaron Ramsey when he had to sue him and moved over to Adidas because he had injuries. He was blaming the boots. But overall, I think Roma's going to look a lot better with Adidas.
Oh, I'm excited. I just see all these throwback concepts and
well, those concepts that went live actually, there's been rumors that they are the right ones.
Well, so I've
it's like
seen
Adidas trying to tease the way.
I think Roma last season went with a shift in crest as well, right? So they've changed their crest up a little bit. I think there's a bit of a Lupetto concept in there as well. I can just imagine like what Adidas is going to do when imagine they throw like a trefoil out there. You know, like they've morphed their current logo, they've ditched the text, and now they're just going with the 3 stripes. And like imagine just the whirlwind if they go with the trefoil.
I feel like Adidas is definitely trying to do something in Italia right now. Of course, getting that Azzurri.
Yeah, they're making waves.
I know, it's pretty big. And there's always, I think Inter hasn't signed a new contract yet, so there could be another team with Adi.
Wow, could you imagine? How long has Inter's been with Nike for a long time?
A long time. I think the last one was...
Umbro,
yeah, it was.
94. Yeah, early 90s, yeah. Wow. And then what, All Sport or something before that again. Yeah,
Cock, so many.
I like that. I like that bit of brand loyalty about clubs. I know like Bayern and Adidas.
Which we'll talk about soon too.
Yeah, true. We'll get to that because we're going to have a segment on sponsors. But I guess manufacturers is a different ballgame altogether.
Pretty sure it was Udinese. They had 12 manufacturers in 10 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Did they ever double up? Did they go back and forth?
Yeah, they did. But I think back in the 80s there was like that. But then they had 12 manufacturers over like a decade.
That is impressive. Imagine Napoli did that. They would have 12 manufacturers a season. That'd be incredible. New manufacturer per kit.
Not as bad as Napoli having 12 jerseys in a season.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like, imagine if they had a
should have been a topic for today.
It should have been.
We'll keep it to next week.
Yeah, we will. That's disgusting.
We'll definitely move over. So in this segment, we'll bring back Kitstry or Ultra Kit review.
Yep.
Next week, got a kit coming out. Of course, you've already seen it. PSG jerseys coming, but it won't be available in store till February 1st.
Yes, which will be episode 2's live date, actually, which is going to work out well.
We'll go ahead with that. Stay tuned to next week for our first Ultra Kit review. Now, story in shirts. We have given ourselves a challenge. I said to you, Paul, I'm like, bring 3 shirts with 3 amazing sponsors. Mm-hmm. So what we'll do, you show your camera the 3 shirts.
Yes.
Tell me why you like them. Tell me what about them. And then I'll do it for this camera.
Cool. All right, so look, first off the bat, I'm going to rank these from 1 to 3. I do technically have 4 shirts because I wanted to give one special mention.
Do you want to hold the mic for you up here?
I think I'm okay.
You sure?
Okay. Well, you know what? First off the bat, I'm going to go with my beautiful Boca Juniors shirt here. Quilmes. Now, for me, beer sponsors have always been like, just up there. There's something about them, the brown ales, the McEwen lagers. There's so many beer sponsors. Carlsberg, there's Stax Coors. The list goes on. And there's so many that are associated with so many iconic kits. But for me, Quilmes was just, I don't know. I just felt like the way it sat on a Boca shirt looked so nice. And for me, particularly this one, they've matched the Boca colors. Just everything is right. We talk about going monochromatic if it doesn't fit within the kit, or making things simple, or matching the club colors, and they just knocked it out of the ballpark. Okay, so look, the shirts I've got Parmalat. I reckon that sponsor, iconic, 100%. Probably one of my favorite of all time.
They're from Parma as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Perfect sense. Dairy company, blah blah blah. Iconic in the football scene. Candy, not actually a lolly or confectionery company. They actually make things like the Hoover, so they're electronics and appliance company. And special mention, I've gone Quilmes as number 1, Parmalat 2, and Candy as 3. JVC, Bruised Banana. I feel like just from a football kit sense, it's got to be close to the most iconic kit and accompanied by a very iconic sponsor. You
actually have a bit of a theme there you didn't realise. So looking at the Bruised Banana,
yes.
There's 3 stripes within the design. See the 3 stripes?
Yes.
So it's Adidas without even saying Adidas.
Yeah, wow.
Drop it down. Show me the Liverpool. Adidas logo within the kit as well.
That is very
cool. Now,
yeah.
Look, what's the 3rd one? No Lotto logo, but Lotto's in with some little bit of the shirt.
That is...
You didn't even do it.
I am mind blown.
I was looking at the shirts and I was like, wow, you've chosen 3 kits that I never actually realised had little details of their manufacturers. Something that a lot of manufacturers did in the 90s.
Yeah.
These days, you don't really see that. But the fact that all three of them had something, it was really good.
I obviously have a similar. That's my vibe, I guess. I didn't even know, but the one I'm wearing, I like
Hey,
the most.
you got
Doesn't even
yellow,
have it.
blue, yellow.
True.
You do have... No, I'm joking. It's actually Nike. But yeah, like those three shirts and those three sponsors, amazing. I would say out of the four that you got 4. Out of the 4 shirts, I reckon the most iconic sponsor for me would be the candy. It wasn't around for a very long time, but it did have an iconic text font.
Yeah, there's something about it. I think maybe associating a successful era in football with a nice sponsor. I think there's something to that.
100%. So the 3 jerseys that I brought in today, and these are the 3 sponsors that I think are important to the football game. One is Philips, and Philips, of course, we know always associated to PSV Eindhoven. Number 2 is Sharp, again, another one that is associated to Manchester United. And my favourite one, of course, is Pirelli, something that's associated to Inter Milan. Now, the reason why I like these 3 sponsors is because PSV being an Eindhoven team, Philips is based in Eindhoven, and PSV was the hometown company that literally is based on the club. That was the football team for the factory workers. Beautiful, iconic. They've changed it over to an Eindhoven company. Not the same, but PSV and the Philips branding has always been synonymous to each other.
Yeah, it was kind of nice. I feel like you think of Ronaldo and you sort of
100%.
like, oh,
You
that's
think
that
you
shirt.
instantly think that there's Ronaldo right behind you. Sharp, for me, again, is most iconic for Man United, but also the British game, because Sharp was that sort of shirt that was associated to champions for a very long time. But we do see the Sharp sponsorship, such a simple one. There have been different versions of it. But again, it was a company, a technology company, that didn't really survive the future. And it's just iconic for the nostalgia it brings. Then we have one manufacturer that has stayed with the club for many, many years, but also Pirelli became a part of the Inter Milan identity and DNA that didn't really need an understanding of who or what they were. The P was always iconic. It used to be the first thing that used to come off your shirts. It used to be the first thing that rips off your kit. But I think not many people outside of the game understood what Pirelli was.
Yeah.
Tyre manufacturer.
Of course.
But again, iconic type font. All 3 of them, just simple but iconic.
It's funny that you know, like in terms of how they've all stood the test of time. Like Pirelli, obviously, still now to this day, right, is still a massive company. Sharp, obviously, but probably not so much. But at the time, even with JVC as well, these electronics companies in like the 90s and 2000s were massive because things were changing in that era, and it was that time. Guys were buying. So like the Dreamcast sponsor for Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
There's a Nintendo sponsor for Fiorentina. There's so many out there.
Xbox, Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, correct.
PlayStation with Marseille.
Marseille, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so cool where you see, it's almost like it's relevant to the time. At the time it seems normal, but then now we look back 10, 15 years and we're like, oh, I remember Dreamcast or PlayStation 2.
Sort of
and
sets
all that
itself
stuff.
in the sort of generation it was a part of.
And you just have that connection, which I love. I love that. It is really, really cool.
We don't really see many beer companies in front of shirts these days, do we?
Next to none, which I find interesting because obviously the transformation is now more into like a digital space.
Which is the betting agency.
Correct.
Great little segue to our next topic. Yeah. I don't like betting agencies because, of course, gambling is an addiction and it's really bad. But how does that compete against what the past had with the alcohol companies?
What's actually funny, and I think it's interesting looking back because we were underage during, like, say, the Newcastle Brown Ale era, right? And I look at that and I think, oh, iconic, such a nice shirt, cool sponsor, it all works. It's all perfect. But I wasn't drinking beer.
No, even Coles
wasn't even encouraging me to drink beer because I didn't really care. I was 5 or 6 or 7. But then looking at it now, I guess I probably would try and drink Kilmer's because I saw a Kilmer's sponsor.
Yeah. If someone had Asahi, I'd be like, oh, cool.
Whereas I look at the betting agencies and like the cryptocurrencies and whatever else, those other digital kind of
bits and stuff like that.
Yeah, the financial coins and all that sort of stuff. And I'm kind of just like, scam.
Exactly. I feel like that's the biggest problem with these sponsors is like they've put them out there and then the big dogs up there who were like, no, we can't do alcohol. It's going to make people eat and drink alcohol and eat junk food like Macca's. But then Macca's is all over A-League. And I think to myself, I would rather promote less fast food joints and more brands that actually can put towards the game. Like, again, people come back to me and be like, oh, but what about a bank? What about the digital agencies like that? And I'm like, you do have a fair point. And it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to say what's bad and what's good. Opinionated from me, the opinion for me would be that the betting agencies is a lot more criminal than what the alcohol companies were.
Yeah, I agree. But I feel like no matter what the sponsor is, there's always going to be a pro and a con to it. Because you look at Kazoo. Kazoo's all over the La Liga at the moment. And yes, okay, it's a car distribution, like a car sales company kind of thing. But then cars are ruining the environment and you're encouraging people to buy cars. And it's just like, you can say this with probably every single thing under the sun.
There was that rumour that Barcelona only had UNICEF because they were laundering money.
Yeah, again, I guess that's an interesting
Charity.
one too, because it is. It's a charity.
Taxable.
Yeah, but you see it as like a positive sponsor as well, right? And now, iconic. You look at the time that it was there, the MSN era, even before that, the Champions League, Guardiola, and it's,
Yeah, sponsors do give that nostalgic effect, but also give you that sort of messaging of what they're trying to, promote. You look at the Premier League or Serie A these days or Bundesliga. Is there one that stands out to you and either positive, negative?
Current day sponsor?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a
like
tough
you said,
one.
Kazoo. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. Which, to be honest, from a marketing point of view, you've done very well knowing that, or putting your brand out there because they have been slapped on every single shirt you can think of.
Yeah, another company that's with Galatasaray now is Sixt, the new rental agency.
Yeah,
it's just out of nowhere. But now I know it because they know how to sponsor.
That's the thing.
So I think that's one of the things is about these sponsors is like they don't have to do much effort, but if they get correct timing for them, they could live on forever.
It's brilliant.
For me, like Aon and AIG were horrible, but they were perfect timing for United because they were like iconic era. Some of the shirts with Ronaldo. Forever remembered. And actually, my insurance company is with AIG, so it's always like a bit of like, oh, look at me.
Aon's an insurance company as well.
Yeah, AIG and same. They just changed the names in Asia.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another one for United was Chevrolet. Horrible logo, horrible branding, but again, the downfall of United era, that will be remembered forever.
Yeah, see, that's funny because even I'm thinking from a sales point of view, and that Chevrolet kits are quite difficult to sell. Because there is no real
appeal to that.
Yeah, there's no positive sort of association to it. Whereas you go back like 2 years or 3 years and you got that Aon shirt, and you're like, oh my God, Rooney bicycle kick. You're like, that's...
If I say to your brother, what do you think of?
Man City.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See how fast you can think of a brand and a thing?
It's insane.
Like Celtic. Give me one Celtic thing.
C.R. Smith is the first one that comes to my head. But
Carlsberg, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Give me what's a Chelsea one in the past?
Autoglass.
Cause.
Yeah, that's heaps.
You get me? Like you can just go like that, and I love that.
Yeah.
And you think of the MLS, there's even more. If I say like, I don't want to promote the pyramid schemes, but Galaxy, straight away it's got Herbalife.
Maybe we should do this actually. Let's make this a little bit of a fun thing. I'm just going to hit you with a club. Just hit me with a sponsor.
Are we doing it now?
Let's do it right now.
Well, I can't think of too many.
That's okay. I'll just hit you with a random club.
This is going to hurt.
I won't go too out there with the club names.
No, it's actually a good game we should do in the future. A bit of testage. All right, go.
Everton.
What did it say?
Everton. Yeah, so pick a sponsor for Everton.
Front shirt?
Yeah.
You hit me right in the kazoo, yeah.
Okay,
now.
I was going to say, like, come on, that's the most obvious one. Doesn't have to be current season, any season.
All right, this is half. I've got to think of so many. Here we go. We're going to go with, let's go Fly Emirates.
Oh, like you got Arsenal or anyone else, Arsenal, Chelsea.
I'll go a good one. Yeah,
heaps. Do you want me to hit you with a sponsor or a club?
Sponsor.
Okay. Could I say Die Continentale, but not Dortmund?
Oh, you can go. Oh, not Dortmund. Yeah. You go Dortmund? Oh, not Dortmund. Hertha Berlin.
Yes, good stuff. I love this game.
Sorry,
this is great.
I thought you were saying the German team, Die München. I was like, what? Okay, so sponsor, go Uber Eats.
Oh, French club, Marseille.
Exactly.
Yes.
One more round, go. I'm trying to think of the shirts on the floor.
Okay,
right now.
I hit you with this. You want a sponsor? All right. I'm trying to think of something that's not so mainstream, also recent. I'm trying to hit you with something old.
Yeah, same. I'm trying to think of something old too. It's a good game. We should prepare for this next time.
Yeah, it is. You know what's funny? Actually, I was going through some of the J League stock that I have earlier, and a lot of them are like self-sponsored.
Yeah, I was thinking about J League in my head too.
Yeah, I was like, there's no real like, Kodak, like
Yeah, straight away, Yokohama.
But it's there's a lot of them that I like, Verdi, or like Nagoya Grampus and Nagoya Grampus. Oh, that's interesting. When, mind you look at like Brazilian clubs and just sponsors through the Razoo.
I'm trying to think of one more. We got one more. Let's go. Oh, awkward silence. I'm going to say, think of a sponsor and a shirt. Man, we should have prepared for this. Sorry, guys, to listen to awkward audio. Should we just skip it?
Yeah, that's fine. That's enough.
Move on. That was awkward.
Fun game.
That's actually good. We can keep that. So another segment we're going to have, of course, is now 1v1,
yes.
or as we are going to call it as of today. Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit. Of course, if you are after any Gattuso pizza, Gattuso slices merch. We're going to have some new stuff coming out.
Yes.
And hopefully in the future, we might have another event. We don't know. It depends on how much expenses we have in our life.
But essentially, yeah, look, this 1v1 section is going to be a little bit of what we kind of just did. This, we're going to challenge ourselves. We're going to challenge other people.
Just keep chatting.
And it's going to be a challenge, I guess you can say. So for this, we're going to discuss a sensitive topic, which sort of came to light via Twitter, thanks to yourself. You were just sort of reaching out to the Twitter sphere and to soccer Twitter and just trying to see what everyone thought was their best or most overrated and underrated kit for current season, or current year, I guess you could say.
I said most overrated, most underrated.
Yeah, and the discrepancy between Venezia, whether you loved or hated, I could not believe the volumes of people that actually hated them.
Which is confusing because last season, the 21-22, for me was definitely a horrible season for them. Their home shirt was nice, black shirt, bit of like mosaic stain on it.
Yep.
Away third, horrible. Fourth was actually nice, the red one, but I wasn't a fan of the away in third.
Yeah.
The new shirts this season, simple,
Yep.
clean, artistic, perfect. But everyone hated it.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I wonder if there's a bit of... football fans, we're very normal people, right? Like, I say normal in a very loose sense.
Unless you're a Melbourne Victory supporter.
No, but we're not. I guess there's a lot of people that are... You're very everyday bloke that likes to go to the pub, watch the game.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Probably not always the most fashion-forward guy. Venezia pushed that territory where it is very high fashion. The photos come out, it's very high-end. It looks quite niche, and... you go and you're putting it on someone with a suit jacket or, nice clothes, and you're like, wow, this aesthetically looks amazing.
Yeah.
But how do I pull this off? I don't look like that. And I think that's why the overrated comes out.
It's funny, the biggest issue, and we should have brought the shirt today, but the biggest issue for me was how high the badge and the manufacturer logo were, the kappa.
Yep.
But overall, they're simple and clean shirts. You had the white one, I got the home, love them. The gold one, again, I think the biggest issue with the gold one was it's not true gold, it's like a bit of a musty colour.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest issue for me. Venezia, the hate for Venezia at the moment is outrageous. I think there's so many more jerseys out there that people are collecting that I think do not deserve the light.
Yeah.
But the Venezia shirts this season are a lot better than last year, and everyone bought last season's and made the club so, would you say, prolific? Like they were so wow,
socially.
Venezia. Like again, they had the the Renaissance era for themselves.
Yeah, I look past the last few years, and I feel like 2019, 20, and 21, you kind of see this social profile from a football club sense kind of increase and decrease, and it's almost like a social stocks, right? I remember thinking that Dortmund, they released that. What was it? The box kit where they had the throwback Rambo kind of and it was almost like every Dortmund kit was spiking, in value, and everyone was like, oh my god, I need to get the one that what's his name from United War? Oh my god, I blanked on his name. Played at Dortmund.
Oh, Sancho.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, I need to get the one that Sancho wore and blah, blah, blah. And then, similar happened to PSG, I guess a couple of years, maybe even prior to that, when Neymar was sort of starting out and, the Hector design, Hector?
Yeah, Hector.
Yeah, came back. Rector. the rectum design. It's just, I find it interesting. And then I think Venezia was the next one, and they're kind of riding that wave a bit now. But I think, they're in a relegation zone.
They're in almost Serie C.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
You've had two of the most iconic kit seasons. So they would have sold through the arse, had a heap of finances, and on field is just...
They've literally lost their momentum.
What do they have to do next season to... are they still relevant if they're in Serie C?
Red Star Paris, Kappa, have this iconic, unique sort of approach, aesthetic to them. Kappa's making them, they've been around. Even the Adidas era was amazing for them when they had sponsorship from Vice.
Yep.
They're still playing in, I think, the second or third division in French football. One of the oldest clubs in Paris and even France, still in the minnows. And I think it's going to happen with Venezia. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a club that was, a club that is, and a club that's got a bit of nostalgic and sort of future aesthetic to them.
Yeah, okay.
If they succeed on the pitch, good on them. But I think they've really lost it. I feel like it might be a bit of a tax fraud. We see what's happening with Juventus as well.
Yeah, well.
Who knows? We'll find out in the future. All these shirt sales definitely fed some mafia-artistic person. But either way, the shirts for me, 10 out of 10. And I kind of love how the shirts have really clouded or covered this whole demise
Yeah.
No one really talks about where they are on the ladder because everyone's talking about their jerseys.
Which is kind of funny. I guess it's probably a good year to have a bad season when you get that sort of like flip side. But at the same time, I'm sure if you're a true fan, you're from a Venezia sense, you need your club to.
Kappa is actually getting onto this trend. I've noticed they've got Red Star Paris. They've got a bit of a cult. They've gone over to Venezia, got a bit of a cult club. Now they're with Kaiser Chiefs.
Yeah, wow.
That's going to be amazing.
That is very cool.
Because the South African League has been neglected for many years.
Yeah.
Kaiser Chiefs, Orlando Pirates have been a part of our game for many years.
Of course.
They've been on FIFA, so we always pick them.
Yeah.
But I think the clubs have always been the hub for African football. When you look at the other African nations, we don't really talk about their leagues.
No.
Maybe Egyptian here and there when it comes to like exports from like Mo Salah. Maybe
Yeah,
Moroccans with the recent World Cup. But there's no respect given to South Africa. Since the World Cup, everyone's forgotten about Africa.
Yeah, I
Like
don't
three,
know.
three World Cups, 2014.
Like, yeah, they don't get the media publicity that the, like, obviously, UEFA Champions League or Asian Champions League will get. Even, I don't know. I doubt that the quality, and it's hard to even weigh in on this debate because it's like that's proof in itself that how little media coverage that these guys get over here, and I'm assuming it'll be quite similar.
So do you think that this new Kappa deal with Kaiser Chiefs is going to help them?
Yeah, I think it will. I think from a social sense, I don't think it's going to help.
They
them.
were with Kappa back in the earlies.
Yeah, which might
Iconic,
actually.
definitely need it. It's got a bit of a stripe on
I've
it.
actually got a South Africa national team shirt at the moment, and that's a Kappa kit.
Yeah.
And it's not like the most attractive kit, but it's still. I wonder if there is a tie there already, like historically.
What's a minnows team in the world that deserves to become like a bit of a collector's item? with
How
Kappa?
minnows are we saying is minnows?
Just anyone around the world.
Like outside of the big leagues?
Outside of the big leagues. Who deserves a bit of Kappa love because of their potential? Can't be France because we've got thing. There can't be Italy because we've got them, and then we've got South Africa. Where is there a country and a club and a team that needs a bit of Kappa love for their nostalgic?
I think. Which country needs Kappa love? Maybe Morocco. Morocco could do with some Kappa love.
Or
I
national
reckon.
team?
Yeah, I reckon that'd
Okay.
be cool. I like the Casablanca. I can't remember what the derby's called, but Wydad and like. I've blanked on the other team name, but their derby is epic. So I feel like, you know what, maybe those two clubs, I think they're definitely minnows in terms of, and this is going to sound really stupid because they're minnows in terms of a global recognition. But if you go and watch the derby, these two teams, oh my god, it is packed, absolute mayhem, and it is. There has to be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 100,000 people in this stadium.
Yeah.
So I'll say Wydad Casablanca just for argument's sake, and Morocco.
A club that I think needs a bit of Kappa love, a club that I think needs a bit of, kit renaissance is Red Star.
Paris?
No.
Belgrade. Yeah, I like
they
that.
They were Kappa in the past.
Yeah, okay.
Some iconic kits.
Yes.
And of course the Red Star collector kit room.
And then there was that team of the 90s as well that had all that success.
I'm saying it now. Kappa, get on to Red Star Belgrade because that is a club that will bring money towards you. The Balkans will love it.
Yeah.
The collectors will love it. There's so much Kappa kits. It's going to rejuvenate. It's going to re-energize this collecting sort of edition for the past and the present. And there you go.
Wow. Well, then this sort of I'm just thinking about other clubs that were Kappa in the past, and I'm thinking like does
Juventus.
this help? Juventus was the one I was thinking of. Even and I think I guess I sort of associated Red Star.
Imagine Juventus. I know they've lost points and money. That probably won't happen. But like, imagine Juventus back to.
But maybe that's a thing. Maybe it's a win-win because maybe Adidas like we don't want to deal with you anymore. You're a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
And Kappa could see the opportunity and maybe jump in. But Sampdoria was the other one I was thinking of because when you mentioned Red Star, I was sort of thinking of other European success stories. I can't remember if they've had Kappa. I think they might have like in 1990. I can't remember. But I think I remember seeing ASICS and a few others. I can't remember if they ever had Kappa, but I think it would be very, very cool.
Kappa hasn't done much in Australia with their Western United and Western Sydney. It's been pretty bland.
They're kind of template kits anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, not happy with them, but it is what it is. I'm really liking that idea of the Kappa coming back and bringing clubs back to life.
Yeah.
There's no team in the Premier League, but it'd be nice to see some Premier League. You know which club? Actually, I think there was recently. I think Hull City's going Kappa.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, you remember my jersey from Hull City.
Yeah, your favourite one.
Hull City with Kappa. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, in the comments, but definitely there's going to be that's a Kappa kit coming to thing.
Do you reckon this is a funny one? Like that you bought this kit, the Hull City kit.
Yeah.
And I know yours was an accidental purchase,
yeah.
right? Like it was
Umbro.
Nice kit from the front, and then from the back it wasn't ideal because it had some guy's name on it and his birthday or something. There's got to be no value in that anymore, right? Like I know we tease Gaz a little bit because he bought a French shirt from like 2018 and it's got Pascal on the back at number 10. And I think Griezmann was like the number 10 at the season.
yeah.
I'm like, sorry, mate. This is
It's always
not
the
gonna
hardest thing with buying jerseys and name sets. I think we should keep it the next week.
Yeah.
But it's like, what name set that like isn't representing of the senior team, but you buy like a youth player? And no disrespect, but I think like I actually have purchased some female women's players on the men's kits because the clubs don't sell the women's jerseys, which is something I wish happens in the future. I feel like the clubs need to sell both versions.
Yeah, of course.
Because I wanted to buy a Lyon shirt for Carpenter.
Yep.
But I couldn't buy in the women's one because they didn't sell the women's one in the men's.
Yeah,
Because they have the MasterCard.
Yep.
I think it was pretty either sold out or something. So I bought the men's one with Fly Emirates and I put Carpenter on the back.
Yeah, okay.
And then it's like she never played with the Fly Emirates. She played with the MasterCard.
yeah.
So
And
then to me, it's like, does that devalue the shirt? Not because of a name set, but because the shirt wasn't available in that scenario.
Because it's not the right. Yeah, it's not
Combination.
exactly. It's not the right combination. So it seems like it is a little bit off.
Similar to Inter Milan, they have a different sponsor. I'm pretty sure it's MasterCard as well for the women's. And the men's have digital bits or whatever they have now because they lost that sponsorship. But that's the thing for me. I feel like that's the biggest issue is like, what's the combination? Maybe we'll keep it the next week and do some research and talk about it.
Yeah. I think that's definitely going to be a whole topic within itself.
Well, that's about it for today's episode. A fresh one for you. And next week will be episode 2, but officially episode 1 because we have the PSG
Yes, we're going to
shirts.
review the kit next week, so that'll be good.
Anything you want to shout out before we end the episode?
Yeah, so they've got a bit going on for PFC actually. We're heading up to Brisbane
2 weeks?
Feb 12th.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've got a pop up there with X-Football at the Football Hub, which is going to be sick. So come down to that. There's heaps of info on Instagram, on the website. You can check it both. Aside from that, there's a little sneaky rumour that Ultra Football is going to throw on a bit of a shindig for football fans and people that are, want to get around a bit of a small-sided game and pop-up event and
Keep an eye on
something
that.
like that. Yeah, so March is going to be big if you're in Melbourne.
No pop-ups in Melbourne?
That's going to be the first one for the year. So
Perfect.
early March, I think around the 5th or something like that will be, So keep those dates free.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to follow PFC Vintage and, of course, Talking Shirt. And now, Between Two Shirts.
Beat me to it.
Sorry, man. Make sure if you are listening to this on YouTube that you hit the like button and subscribe to Ultra Football. Make sure to also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, like the Reels. Look, there's not much we can do. Of course, we'll have some certain things to ask in the future. Let us know if you want to add anything else to this. Anything you want to ask them, say hello to the fans, anything you want to say. Thank you for watching, of course.
Yeah, welcome back. I don't know. That's it. I think we're good.
Really excited. Thank you so much. Stay away from stupid people, and we'll see you see you in the future. Oh wait, did I say it right? Well, I was thinking of a focaccia thing.
Focaccia later, yeah. See you in the future.
I'll say it again.
That's close.
Stay safe. Stay away from stay safe. Stay away from stupid people, and we'll
Finished.
see you next time.
Finished. I'll come with the background stayed up the whole time.
Can't believe you weren't recording the first go, bro.
Sorry.
All right, let's pack this shit up. All right, fucking shit, don't kill me.